She's doing so well, and I just love watching her play because you don't expect someone of her size to be so dominant in the front row, especially at this high level of volleyball, but she just gets up there and she does her thing, swings hard, puts the ball in the court exactly where she needs to.
Soteli again, the set was not quite there for her. She could not get on top of it. Point, Utah State.
It looked like she was a little early in her approach. If she can wait half a count and then go up, she'll be on top of that ball and not needing to try and go over the block.
And the serve from Jocelyn White goes out. Point to Hawaii. You can't afford those service errors.
Well, and you're coming out of a timeout here, so you need to really focus on those little things, get everything back, play tight volleyball. So that means no missed serves and good passing.
Kahue, what an amazing serve. That is her second ace on this match. Really impressive. Elizabeth Kahue coming in, just 16 aces on the season. But she found the little spot there, just drops it in with a floater.
Well, and I love that float serve because when it goes over the net, it kind of floats and it moves along the net, so you don't know where you need to go to pass it, and it forces them to move their feet to pass.
Mafua to Danielson, free ball. Mafua, short set to Hewitt in the middle. They've been utilizing her more here in set number 2. Jocelyn White off the block, point to Utah State.
Good thought, Soteli and Hewitt a little late on that block, and I like seeing Utah State utilizing the hands and the arms of the Hawaii block. You can get those tools, which means it hits the hands and goes out of bounds for a kill, and that's something they need to use more in this match.
That was Liz MacArthur, rather, for Utah State. Whoever it was, they will take the point. Chantil Soteli has just been explosive and straight down. Utah State really hasn't had an answer for her.
Well, you don't want to leave the net open when Soteli goes up to hit the ball. You have to have at least one blocker up there, and I think they're making the mistake of trying to focus on Hewitt and the other hitters, but they need to make sure they're up on Soteli every time.
They enlist her at 5'10". You talked about her size, but now it's up to multiple players for Utah State, and that time Katie Astle, the 6'1" senior. 4 seniors for this Utah State team, a team that had high expectations. Most of these players stayed in the offseason to train and work out together, but they have had a roller coaster ride in WAC play, trying to find that team chemistry. Down the line, Shay Sorensen with the point. There you see how the season started for Grayson DuBois' team, 11-0 in non-conference play. Since then, 4-6. How big would this one be for them?
This would be huge, and even if you don't win this type of match, if you can take a set off of Hawaii, that's a huge confidence builder because no one else is doing that right now.
You are absolutely right. Dave Shoji's team has swept their last 8 opponents in WAC play. You get a set, you start playing with their minds just a little bit.
Well, I think this is the best Utah State has played as of late. They're doing a really good job of pass set hit. They're making the plays. They're adjusting when they need to. So you can see there's growth. So that's a good thing here.
Free ball. Kahue hits it out. Point to Utah State. But I do sense a confidence for Utah State. You can see when they're in system, when things are working for them. They're not backing down from Hawaii. Liz MacArthur with the serve. Mafua, the short set to Hewitt in the middle, point Hawaii.
And Mafua's sets to Hewitt don't look like they're really working very well. They're either too high, they're too low, they're not fast enough for her quick arm. She has to get in sync with Hewitt to get some more balls to her and get some points out of her here.
And Hewitt's got the wrap around that right hamstring. She pulled it in a workout. The fans want the touch, and they get the touch. It goes Utah State's way.
And Utah State has done a good job of coming back in here, and they're playing mini games. And I talk about playing small games of 3 points. So you get 1, 2, 3, and then stop and start over again. And that's how you get back into a set like this against a good team.
Mafua, the back set to Alexis Forsyth. And you talk about giving size. Hawaii doesn't always have a big team, but they're a physical and aggressive team. But they're adding some size, like players like this. Alexis Forsyth, the 6'4" junior. Serve goes out from Mafua. The point goes to Utah State. Laurel Bodley back to serve. Mafua to Soteli. It's a rocket that Soteli has going right now.
And again, it's a poor Utah State block every time she's going up to hit, so she's not really going up against anything. You see they're late in the middle, they're reaching out of bounds. She really has an open net to just play with.
Well, Soteli has such a quick arm as well. It's very hard to read her and where she's going to go, but it is definitely working, and she is what's kept this Hawaii team alive.
Well, and you almost have to commit block on her and just leave someone on her the entire time, but because she's really the offensive weapon here.
She was a transfer from St. Mary's College, and this is a player that's scrappy and finds a way to get it done.
When you look, and she just has such good form and technique, whether she's blocking or hitting. She gets up, she's always behind the ball, she's taking those good swings, and she has a great IQ. She's seeing the opening spots on the court. She knows where to put it.
Her mother, Leanne, played for Dave Shoji, was part of the back-to-back championships. She has two brothers that have played football at Hawaii. Her father played football at Hawaii. Hard to believe she tried to go somewhere else, but you knew where she'd end up.
I know, right? And she's an amazing athlete, and she's just such a fun person to watch.
Hawaii has found a way to extend their lead, but Utah State hanging right in this one. Hawaii taking set number 1, but the fans aren't giving up on their Aggies. They're into it. Everybody in pink. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Night. The Aggies have their pink socks on. Their fans are wearing the pink as well. Out of the back row, it was Liz MacArthur, but they call her on it. Point to Hawaii. Let's see where she is. Foot on the line.
It's like that one toe that makes it over the line that ruins it for you.
Danielson serves it into the net and gives it back to Utah State. Just keeps them alive in this one.
And Danielson is just not on her game tonight. She has 8 kills. She's second on the team, but she has 5 errors, hitting 125. I think she's just tired. When you're getting that many sets, again, it takes a toll on you, and you have to have that period where you're just like, I can't play right now.
Hawaii's pass was off, but Liz MacArthur was waiting for it on the other side for Utah State. Point to the Aggies. And a knuckleball from Jocelyn White, the serve, no good. And that gives it back to Hawaii.
It's as if they want to keep making these errors to continue the set on further and further, and they have to tighten up their game on both sides. Get those serves in the court so you can make a play.
Danielson has to just pass it over. That's Durant for Utah State. They bring her around. Gets it. Substitution now for Utah State. Back to serve will be Cassie Hargrove, the 5'7" sophomore. She's also their backup setter. They will lose Chelsea Fowles, their senior setter this season, so they've been very happy with how she's coming along. Hewitt off the block. Katie Astle, almost non-existent in set number 1, but set number 2, a different story.
She does such a good job of pushing it towards that back line. There is no defense there. It's a perfect spot for her to place it.
And a 4-0 Utah State run leads to a timeout by Dave Shoji. Wednesday night, women's college volleyball continues on ESPNU with 2 matches. First at 7 Eastern, catch an SEC showdown as the South Carolina Gamecocks face the number 1 Florida Gators. And then at 9 Eastern, as the number 2 Nebraska Cornhuskers face Big 12 rival number 10 Texas. Don't miss a set, serve, or smash. Wednesday night women's college volleyball on ESPNU. And we take a look at what's going on around the nation. Florida is still #1, their 3rd straight week. Their only loss to Penn State. Cal moves up to #3 as they were able to go and beat Stanford on their court. And then #2 Nebraska, 19-1. They've won 18 straight. They are on a roll.
It has been crazy this year, and
it's really up for grabs.
You know, and I obviously watch the Pac-10 a lot more because I played in it, but the upsets night after night, and I love it because it just shows how strong women's volleyball is and how strong every team is, and you're getting so much exposure because they're all on TV a lot more, and I think it's such an exciting time for the sport, and I'm excited to see how all of these teams do as we get closer to playoff time and to, you know, the national championship. I think it's really up for grabs.
It really is, and as exciting as it's been to watch Penn State and their three-peat, it's also exciting to see other teams that are challenging for that top spot. So Hawaii now 1 point away from taking set #2 and going in at break up 2-0. Utah State hanging right in there. Mita Uyato back to serve. Coming out of the back row for Utah State, keeps her Aggies alive.
They fight to the end. They don't let Hawaii get away with anything. They're working super hard on their side of the net to do everything they can to stay in this.
Floater serve from Fowles. Hewitt barely gets over there for Hawaii. Liz MacArthur into the #1 blocker in the nation, Brittany Hewitt. And set #2 goes to Hawaii. Utah State right in both of these sets. And MacArthur, they've tried to find her, tried to get her going, but Mafua and Hewitt were right there waiting on her.
And she just looked so uncomfortable when she was hitting that ball, and she dropped her elbow. She wasn't able to get it past the blockers. She really needed to just tip it right over there.
Absolutely. Well, coming up during intermission here, we're going to have Wednesday night showdown, the tradition at Hawaii, which has been spectacular, and then we'll also have highlights and stats. And now we are pleased to be joined by Hawaii's head coach, Dave Shoji. And Coach, thank you for joining us. You go in 2-0, but it was a close one. What changed for you guys going from set 1 to set 2?
Well, I think we blocked better. You know, Brittany got going and, you know, put up a pretty good wall. So that really helps when you can get some points like that and you don't really have to work on transition. So I think that was a big difference.
Now, Kanani just looks really uncomfortable right now. She's not playing her usual game. What do you think is the cause of that?
Well, I mean, she's not getting the best sets. I mean, they're kind of transition balls, and she likes it fast, and we have to set a little higher when it's off the net. So I think she's going in early, and then she has no really good approach at the end. So, you know, we're asking her to wait back on the ball set, you know, from off the net. If we're in system, fine, we can go fast, but she's a little anxious there, but, you know, she'll come out of it.
All right, Coach. Thanks so much. We appreciate the time. That's Hawaii's head coach, Dave Shoji. His team goes up at break, up 2-0 over Utah State. We'll be back with more